guys, so here to talk about this project that we have before us, and that is a 1 Series BMW. Just a little history. You may have seen this car in the backdrop in other films, and it's a car that we've been talking about building for some time now. And I wanted a drift car. I wanted something that I could drive on the weekends and not feel as if it's just a track dedicated only car. And the 1 Series came to mind. Being an owner of an M2 previously, I kind of fell in love with the car and had a lot of great memories of M Series BMWs over the years. I wanted something that wasn't going to be ridiculously expensive to acquire and something that was very tunable and make for a great track car. James happens to be a BMW owner, and you've had how many cars?
Oh, I'm a big fan. So I have the E90 M3, which is an awesome car, right? Mildly modded suspension and brakes. And do you really even need to do that to an M line car? No, but you know.
Is it a manual? No.
No, it's DCT. I'm not a fan, but I ended up becoming a fan, right? And then I have.
You weren't a DCT fan.
I was not a DCT fan yet, but. That's why I have the E91, and that's a manual. And
which is super rare.
Super rare. That's
because it's a wagon
car. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super rare. He's talked about turning that into an M3 body, right?
I know, but it's so
it's
clean
nice
as it is now. It's not the right car. Now 335.
Yeah. So you know, James has got a lot of experience with BMWs, way more than I do, and I just didn't want another drift car, S chassis or Z chassis car. I wanted something that was something that I could drive daily. What I really wanted was a 1M, and unfortunately the 1M prices are through the roof, and they're such a limited production car. I just couldn't feel comfortable about putting a car like that on the track, and so we decided let's just stick to a 1 Series, a 135i, and that's what we acquired. This is a 2011, relatively low mileage. I think it's just barely in the 70s now. You know, I kind of told Alex, I said to Alex, do whatever you need to do to turn this thing into just a really great performance car. So there's all sorts of mods that are going to be done, but you know, Alex will explain those later. But it was for me to turn it into what is going to be a 1M. So just real quickly, giving you a quick rundown on the car. It's a relatively stock car. It's white. It's got a black interior. It is just a very clean car. Right now, presently, we have the center console out of it. We have a shifter in there that Alex has installed. There will be more on that later.
Love that shifter. Yeah.
It feels so sequential. It feels like a sequential shifter. I don't know what it is, but great car. You know, when the 1 Series came out, I wasn't a fan. I kind of thought it was a bulbousy type car. It was short, it was stubby. You know, typically with drift cars, you feel like you want a little longer wheelbase because they're easier to maneuver on the track. And you know, this car, it looks like it's got a short wheelbase, but it's actually pretty standard.
It is not bad.
It's not bad at all. It's just very short. If you look at the tire, the wheel is pushed very much to the end, as is the front.
There's no overhang in the front. It's like 8 inches, right? And then the rear's got not much more.
So we were talking about, there were so many ways to go on this car, and one of the things was, you know, do we put the fiberglass over fenders and bond those on to give it the 1M look, and install some aftermarket front fenders and go that route, and then maybe hang some 1M bumpers on it. There was lots of ways to go, but you know, I'm going to be honest, I am not a big fan of doing fiberglass overlay on anything. I know drift cars, that's a very common go-to thing, you know, because they're always seeing, you know, they're seeing walls, they're seeing fenders of other cars.
It's very track suited.
And you know, I didn't want that. I wanted something that is going to be driven mostly on the streets and on the weekends, and then you take to that track event on occasion, and that's what this car is. In order to achieve that, I wanted to work within a budget. My budget realistically was, I wanted to be all in $45-ish thousand. So we went all in, and in doing that, we decided to acquire all the original panels. We went with factory BMW 1M quarter panels, BMW 1M front fenders, BMW 1M rockers, BMW 1M front bumper, rear bumper, all the liners. We went all in. And it's not going to be an easy task to do this, and to actually build this car is going to require a lot of work. Yes, we're taking a perfectly good car and we're cutting it up. And when I mean cutting it up, we're not really cutting anything up. What we're essentially doing is we're removing these quarter panels. So what's going to happen here is we're going to remove the front bumper, the rear bumper, the tail lights, the deck lid. The entire front end assembly of this car is coming off.
Did he just say we're not cutting this up?
We're not going to cut it up, and here's what I mean.
Okay.
We're going to actually remove these quarter panels, and in doing so, you know, you find these tack welds, and we drill these out. We have the windows, the window glass, and all of its moldings removed. Hey, a little footnote here. This is always good to know. See that little primer mark right there? That's proof that this quarter panel has never been painted. Every BMW, if you ever want to know if your quarter panel's been replaced and someone's done a really fine job, this is your telltale sign. Every BMW will have a primer mark in here. This is the pinch hold area when these cars go through the paint process at the factory. You'll always see this little primer line, and that's where they actually crimp the body down to its painting process and its assembly process. So car guys know this, car dealers know to look for that primer mark, but just thought I'd share that with you because it's interesting to know. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill all these out. These rockers are going to be removed, and these quarter panel skins, or actually the quarter panel in its entirety, will be removed, and then the new 1M quarter panels will be installed. All the glass, the bumpers, everything will get reinstalled after the paint work's been done. So it's a big project, and to stay under that number that I was, you know, trying to achieve, I'm really hoping we're there. It might go a little over, but just imagine, you can't do this to a 1M. What are prices on 1Ms now?
Low mileage, 65, 70 grand for those like prime choice ones.
And aren't they relatively the same drivetrain? Isn't it a 135?
I believe it's the same drivetrain.
It's an N55 motor. Is there any
different
difference?
computer, more power, I think.
So it's all in its tune?
Yeah, and it's more, I don't want to say cosmetic, right?
Okay.
But a lot of it is.
Because I know my M2 was a completely different ball game with the M2 I had.
Yeah.
It had enormous power, and it just felt fantastic. So we did end up installing a 335i, and this is again more in Alex will explain all of that later on in the video about what went into the internal build. But to get a limited slip, you know, a true locking differential, we went with the 335 modded rear diff. You know, it is a Frankenstein, and it is going to be unfortunately, we're going to tear the car apart. All right, guys, so just to give you an idea of what's going to be involved, we wanted to share all this with you. This is what it's going to take to turn this car into a 1M, and you could imagine the work that's going to be involved in pulling this car all apart, like I had mentioned. And just to give you an example of the parts, you have quarter panels, you have front fenders, you have the side skirts, you have the liners, you have the bumpers. It is a lot of stuff. And to pull this off and to really go full conversion, this is what it's going to take, you know.
But it's all metal.
It's all true BMW parts. Everything's from BMW. You know, could we have done the fiberglass? Yeah. Sure. Aftermarket fenders, or even use the original M3 or 1M fenders? Sure. We just decided we're not going to go in that direction. This is going to be a really fun project. What we haven't decided yet, and this is something that we will know in the next few days, is we are super busy at our shop. We have multiple projects going on it at once. We have a car that's our Ken Mary project, which you've probably seen video footage of. If you haven't, check it out. You know, go back to the old videos and take a look at those videos. But our Ken Mary project, we're trying to get it done in time for JCCS, and that is coming up, end of October, November.
Yep.
So that's
faster than you think.
That is going to be here before you know it. We have multiple cars lined up for the paint shop, and so we are just really limited. There's a good chance we're going to sub this out and commission one of our friends that has a shop to do. Honestly, we're just kind of waiting to see what kind of cost we're looking at from them. And if it's something that we could fit into our budget, then we're going to probably commission them to do it. If not, it may stay here and we may do it ourselves. So time will tell. I'm just waiting to get a final feedback, some feedback from them on whether it's something they can pull off and if they can get it done in a timely manner. So they do have an open slot right now, and it's something that I'm seriously considering. I'm going to hand it over to Alex here soon, and he's going to talk about the car's going to go up on the rack. We're going to move the GTR down, and We're going to start talking about some of the performance things we're doing. I gave him full rein to do whatever the heck he wants, to pull as much power as we can, reliable power out of this. And so I'm super anxious to see how it goes. Have you driven this yet?
I have. It is amazing. It's fun.
What do you think?
It's going to be really,
it's a cool car.
Rewarding. Yeah.
It's a cool car. And you know, super tight turning radius on BMW. What is it with BMWs and Mercedes? They turn so damn sharp. I can get into an early Fox body Mustang and it's like driving a dually pickup truck.
Yeah.
You know, like a 4-point turn just to make a U-turn. These things, they turn super sharp. GTRs, they don't turn so sharp.
They do not.
You know, every single car, now Porsches, they have a nice sharp turning radius, but I don't know what it is. BMW, and especially this particular 1 Series, man.
It's got something to do with all-wheel drive also. Some cars,
the GTR?
with the tighter, you know, or not as tight turning.
Yeah, so it'll be a fun drift car. Kind of excited about it.
I'm very curious to see how it turns out in the drift
world.
Me
too.
Yeah.
The one thing I just realized, you know, one of the things I'm going to have to do is when we start talking about, I'm realizing I'm going to have to replace all my labels because this entire quarter panel is going to come off. So there is a company that actually works with auto body shops, and they remake the federal emission labels and federal motor vehicle safety standard labels. That just so happens to be the label that your VIN number is on. It's the label that a lot of shops and of course the manufacturer and dealers refer to. And you know, oftentimes when cars take a hit to the quarter panel and that panel has to be replaced, you have to do something to replace that. And there is a company that will, with a picture of your original label, will make you a new label. It takes about 30 days to get. It's something that I'll probably end up doing on this just because I'm
only licensed body shops can get that. I'm pretty sure.
Only licensed shops can do that.
Yeah.
You know, so it is nice to know they're available. It's going to be hard to remove this panel. I mean, this car is gorgeous. It does have a few nicks and scratches here and there. No dings, but it's had a little scratch on the. I don't know. It looks like someone keyed the fender at some point in that passenger door. But you know, to get a perfect match, we're going to blend the doors. I don't want to chance it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen cars that have had fenders replaced and they didn't blend.
Yes.
And it just
the
stands
color's
out like a
off
sore thumb.
and But I think starting off with this car is good because you don't want to get a ragdoll. Like you said, it's more of a weekender, an event kind of car.
We could have very easily acquired one of these for in the teens.
Yep.
I think we paid about 21, 22 grand all landed here. And it's smog legal and it's titled, insured, registered, the whole 9 yards. So
it still smells like that BMW interior. So
And again, this is a manual. This does have a custom shifter on it. We are utilizing its original drivetrain. We're just kind of giving Alex full rein to build it. He's got all the drift experience and knows what's perfect for the track. So please stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more on this. And you know, really, and we mention this in all our videos, and you know, we're a new channel in terms of viewership, and we're trying to get as many people excited about our content as possible. You know, it takes a lot of time and money to put content out there, and we have so many things going on at this shop. It just made sense for us to start sharing these projects with you guys. So if you'd please subscribe and pass it on to others. You know, if you like what you see, maybe share us with a couple of your friends. We're trying to make this a norm. We want to be here on YouTube for many years to come. And we appreciate your support. As we grow, we will start working on merchandise. Our plan is to do a lot more builds, you know, once we start getting our merchandise up and running, and even do a few giveaway cars. It'll be exciting. There's a lot to come. So stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in.
On the 1 Series, we have the dual caliper setup from SLG, which is Seems Legit Garage. They run a second Willwood anodized caliper to run to the handbrake that's inside, that's going to be on the center console. We also did the OS Geiken 1.5-way differential with the Burger Tuning differential brace. That helps eliminate some of the wheel hop in the back. And so far, Adrian's almost done with all the coilover install from Field Suspension. We did the 441 Plus coilovers that comes with the Swift option springs. And we're waiting, once this is done, the one thing we still have to do, because after we did the tune and some of the performance mods to the car, we ended up burning and slipping the clutch. The car does have mid 70,000 miles, so we chose to go with a Clutchmasters twin disc 725 with an aluminum flywheel. So we ended up doing the CSF radiator with the Burger Motorsports race intercooler to try to keep some of the intake air temps down. We're not 100% sure what the oil temp's gonna do at track, but worst case scenario, we could run dual oil coolers that are slightly larger from C-Trab and try to keep temps down that way, because once you're drifting and you're near limiter, the motors take way more of a beating and temps just spike through the roof. One of the last things we're doing is finishing the AKG solid mounted shifter, and we'll show you guys a preview of that once we get the new Clutchmasters in.
Zippity dippity.
Oh my god, no, I don't have to start over. I don't have to start over, we're just gonna talk about the cooling.